We're at the museum, the place that people just flock to whenever they're in the city. Before we do talk about Porky, once again, the city of Pittsburgh has given you what destination now as far as hotspots?
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Magazine just chose us in the Bicycle Heaven as 2 of the top 10 places you should visit when you're in Pittsburgh, and if you haven't, you should. That's what they said.
Listen, I love the north side. I had a chance to actually sit in the parking lot for a little while before you got here. Man, this is a really special part of Pittsburgh, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I grew up in this neighborhood. I was born and raised in Manchester, and this was our playground. I mean, before that highway was in, all those row houses that were in there, we couldn't wait to get out. And now they're going for like 700 grand and all this crazy stuff, man. Yeah, all the Pirates and Steelers wanted to live there. But when we were kids, man, we used to cut through here to go swimming in the river because we could jump off those I-beams, back in the day. But this was our playground, man. This was...
I know a lot of people from the north side, and they have the exact same thing as far as whenever you ask them, going through their mind, their thought process about growing up here. Now, WAMO is a part of Odyssey. Let me tell you how much it's so important to me. As a kid growing up, we would come to Pittsburgh and dance different places, sessions, greenery. But the real reason we left early is because we wanted to get in within range of WAMO's frequency so we could listen in the parking lot.
Yep.
And I had a chance to interview Porky, and I have known about Porky, but to this day, I'm learning that he was not just an important figure here, but really throughout the country, right?
Nationally, yeah, absolutely. A lot of the big names, like when I worked with the Cleftones or Harvey Fuqua from the Moonglows, I mean, these are big names, right? As soon as they find out that I'm from Pittsburgh, the first thing out of their mouth was Porky Chedwick. If it wasn't for him, I mean, he had a station wagon back in the day. And when they would come through Pittsburgh, if they could be written up in the Pittsburgh Courier, that was the biggest, for the black community, that was the biggest newspaper in the country. And if you were written up in the Courier, you're going to make it. So Porky would pick them up, and he'd always have food for them, sandwiches, chicken, whichever, right? And he'd pick them up and take them to their gigs, right? So they never forgot that, because later on in their career, they'd say to me, "Oh, Porky was the man. I mean, thanks, Porky Chedwick, he's like a god, So I took him up to the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
In Cleveland.
Yeah, in Cleveland. And they were doing this thing called Dedicated to the One I Love. It was an exhibit. And they brought 25 of the top jocks, like Cousin Brucey and Jack the Rapper and Joe Niagara, all these big names, right? Every one of them, when they came in the room, went, "Oh, it's Porky Chedwick." I mean, it was like,
big.
Yeah.
And he was a decent human being.
Big heart. Woo. Big heart. And what I liked about him is he related to us juvenile delinquents, which he used to call us, and he would say, "But they're good, they're doing good stuff, Porky, don't worry about the music, don't judge them by what they're wearing, they're good people." That's the way Porky was, man. He was...
Listen, we're not going to turn this into a political show, but this guy, every time I get around him, he embraces me with ideas that I take to my radio show. And obviously, we're talking today about Charlie Kirk getting killed.
Oh, my God.
This activist, Turning Point USA, a co-founder, was shot and killed at an event in Utah. A lot of violence in this world. That 23-year-old young woman from Ukraine who fled the war gets stabbed to death on that transit train in North Carolina. It was so safe back here on the north side when you were growing up. But today, it's just not the north side. It's even where I live. The world is upside down. And look, when you think about music and how it brought people together, and people like yourself had the ability to really become somebody nationally from this little community of Manchester, not too far from where we sit on the north side, it's kind of sad what's happened in the world, isn't it, Jack?
It's very sad, especially because my whole thing in life was to make people happy.
Right.
And as a musician, that's what we think we did, and there wasn't color, there wasn't religion, there wasn't politics, there was music, and music brought people together. And now nothing brings people, in fact, music nowadays pushes people apart when you listen. Mm-hmm. It's all violent, everything is negative and bad, and I don't know.
Well, listen, I'm a firm believer, too, when we would congregate and go to dances, people of all walks of life, all religious beliefs, all races, it was the melting pot. We all came together as one recipe. But now you don't have young people going out to dance clubs. Live music doesn't exist on the larger scale that it once was when you were in your heyday. And I think this isolation thing that's going on in our society is really hurting our society.
It is hurting. There's a lot of things that have changed in this country, and to me, most of them are not good. You know, it's like neighborhoods, families.
Right.
I mean, our family, when we get together now, all my kids are grown up. My grandkids, some of them are in college and everything else. When they're all home, even if they're not all home, whoever is home, every Sunday. My wife's Italian. We do pasta every Sunday. And it's like the kids would come and the grandkids would come. And we would sit around and talk. First questions out of my mouth would be like, what'd you do in school this week? What's going on? Most parents don't even know what their kids are involved in, let alone, and that scares me. That scares me. You need that family unit, and that's what's missing.
Listen, I see the job you did with your daughter, Rachel. You've been like a big brother to me. This guy's heart is as big as the north side of Pittsburgh. I just can't tell you how much I love him and respect him. So let's get going. Let's go back now.
Okay.
Your family heritage, your mom and dad, that whole story, how you ended up, which I never knew, played drums and had hair that I would have been jealous of then, down to here. But backed up people like Chuck Berry. I never knew you were a drummer. So how did this whole music journey start? And tell me about your parents.
Well, I started singing when I was 5 in a church choir, okay, and it was a junior choir. And my very, very, very first solo I ever did was when I was in a junior choir, and they took me up to the senior choir, and I did a solo with Jesus Loves Me.
Wow.
And I'll never, ever, ever forget that. To this day, I remember, and I was, 5, 6 years old when that happened. But my mom and dad, they all loved music. My dad had no music qualities at all. My mother could sing a little bit.
What did he do for a living?
My father worked for Duquesne Light.
Okay.
He was a coal handler, you know, and hard worker, World War II vet, you know, decorated.
Both from Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. In fact, my dad was from Monument Hill, where community college is now. That's where he grew up. And my mother was from Woods Run area, you know. And
That's Pittsburgh.
it is Pittsburgh. But my people would get together usually on the weekends, and my uncle played the accordion and guitar, and the other cousin played guitar, and I always wanted to play drums, but my mother wanted me to play the accordion, okay? And I said, no, Mom, that's not a cool instrument at the time.
Man.
You know?
I can't pick up chicks with an accordion.
But that's where I started. I mean, I did some accordion lessons, which there's a story that goes along with that too, but it's a funny story, but I didn't want to do that. And it wasn't until I went to Oliver High School in 7th grade. Back then, you went to high school in 7th grade. It was no middle schools, you know. And I went there and I applied to be in the band, take up drums. But I took up 2 instruments. I took up trumpet and drums so that my parents didn't know I was playing drums. So I would practice the trumpet, and I had a little pad that I would practice the drums on. The first year, my parents went up to Oliver for parent-teachers. They went to the band room, and I wasn't thinking. They walked in, they said, we're here for John Hunt. And he went, yeah, drum section. And my mom went, no. He's not a drummer. He's a trumpet player. And he went, he might have a trumpet, but he ain't a trumpet player. He's a drummer.
That's how it happened.
And my dad didn't like that. I mean, because I lied. And, of course, back then. But, yeah, I mean, so the whole time was music to me was like life. I mean, that was not about getting out of the neighborhood, but just about getting out, period, because music had this giant arm, you know. And so I would sing on the street corners. One of my neighbors was Fred Johnson from the original Marcells. And when they were first getting together, before they did Blue Moon, I used to go, we were practicing on a porch next to my dad's best friend, and I would stand there and I'd say, Fred, can I sing with you? Can I sing? And
You kid?
And he would reach in his pocket and pull out a dime. And he'd say, Red, get down to Lou's and Mary's, which was a little store down there, run through the alley and get me a pop, man. And when you come back, you can sing. And I'd run my ass off, right? And I'd come back up and I'd give him his pop. And as soon as he was done, Bingo would go, oh, Red, do me a favor, man. Run down and get me a... Now, there's 5 guys in the group, right? But I wasn't smart enough, you know?
They were done.
So now, fast forward. Now it's 30 years later. And Fred's career is almost over. He's traveling with us, you know, a lot with us. And I'm working with the the Vocal Group Hall of Fame and all these great places. And we're in this big concert. And Fred's my guest. He just did a Christmas album with me. And Fred comes out and he goes, Jack, do you mind if I tell them the story? I said, go ahead, man. He said, you know, when he was a little guy, we used to make him go get pops and this and that. And he said, and never let him sing. And now here I am singing with him. And I went, oh, Fred, by the way. And I reached in my pocket.
Priceless.
Yeah. But there's some of the stories.
So
man.
other than the Skyliners, which we all know and love, tell me the groups, that era, that people will recognize that were born. You mentioned the Marcells, but like right here or close by.
Yeah, how about one of the biggest, which most people don't even know, would be the Altiers, which is Georgie Benson. Georgie Benson was from the Hill. Everyone thought he was from New York. He was a doo-wop guy here in Pittsburgh.
No kidding.
Yeah. So him, I'm talking about the Vogues, the Skyliners, the Marcells, the Jaggers.
Del Vikings?
Del Vikings were from the Air Force Base here in Pittsburgh. That's where they got together. And Chuck Jackson, who was from the Hill and grew up with Tommy Hunt, who was in the Flamingos, all from the Hill District, right?
How is this possible?
It's the water, man, you know, because these rivers came down to make the Ohio.
I mean, Jack, that's like staggering.
It's huge. And it didn't just stop. I mean, it went on for years and years. I mean, like Rusted Root. I mean, there's another one from right here. Now she owns her own little place over there in Millville, right? You got the Clarks. You got Donnie Iris, who was originally in the Jaggers.
Right.
You got Billy Price, who was not from
Tremendous.
Pittsburgh, but you thought he was. He once
Great blues singer.
one of the best, and just won the Blues Award 3 years in a row.
I mean, Granati Brothers, B.E. Taylor. I mean, tons.
yeah.
Tons. So what is it that enables these people to make it and to stay relevant for a long time? How tough is it, not just to get a hit record, but to have long-term success in that top 40 chart? How hard is that?
It's very difficult, and especially nowadays. I mean, back in the day, if you were signed to a label, they put money into you. But if you weren't one of the top sellers immediately, they dropped you. I mean, you look at the Granati Brothers. I mean, they were on A&M Records. I mean, they opened for all the big in the world, and they didn't push them hard enough, you know. But here's what I think happened in Pittsburgh. Most people that I know, myself included, didn't want to leave Pittsburgh. I didn't want to go. I had a shot to go out to L.A., and I wouldn't do it. It's like, why? What are you going to give me that I don't have in Pittsburgh?
I know.
You know, it's
tough.
yeah.
And you think of some like Michael Keaton, Michael Douglas, Frank Gorshin. They took that giant step, but it's hard to leave here. People tell me all the time,
hard.
When you retire, are you going to travel? I'll be honest with you. I'd rather be on the north shore of the Allegheny than the Ohio, Monongahela, Youghiogheny than the Atlantic or Pacific. I can breathe here.
I agree with you. I mean, most of my friends that are still in the business that did have big records, like the Times, okay? Caesar Berry is one of my best friends in the business. Eddie Holman, I mean, I can tell you about
Hey
it.
there, Lonely Girl. What a song.
Let me tell you about that guy.
Yeah.
Biggest heart you ever see in your life, right?
Massive hit.
When Rachel, my daughter, was going to get married, we were doing some traveling together, Eddie and I. And he said, she was calling Uncle Eddie, you know, and he said, I heard you're getting married. And she said, yeah. And he said, are you coming? Are you going to invite me to the wedding? And real Rachel, you know, she's like, sure, Uncle Eddie, you'll be invited, blah, blah, blah. And like 3 weeks before the wedding, we're playing another gig, and Eddie goes, isn't your daughter getting married soon? And I said, yeah. He goes, I didn't get an invitation yet. And I said, Eddie, she thought you were just being nice. He went, no, I'm coming. He came in, gave the blessing at the reception, sang a song to Willie and Rachel. The Vogues were the group that we hired for her band. All my guys were there, Freddie Johnson, all the Marcells. It was a rock concert. You know what I mean?
But Eddie, admission.
Yeah, Eddie came in as a guest and just amazing. Left the next day, and it was just as a friendship.
First song I ever slow danced to. That song came out in 1970. Eddie Holman. Every time I hear that song, it brings back great memories. Here's the other thing. Let's give QED some credit. What they were able to do, kind of, after you had American Graffiti in the early 70s, that Ron Howard movie, right?
Yep.
And it kind of relaunched the whole Fabulous 50s type of thing. Happy Days came out, and then it kind of went away, and then all of a sudden, these fundraisers, I found myself stopping while I'm channel surfing, and the next thing you know, an hour or 2 hours go by.
That's right, yeah.
And these people, there was no smoke and mirrors. That was them.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were a whole lot older. Where's that talent come from? I used to see you do it all the time. Where does that talent, that vocal talent come from? Look at little Anthony, still doing it.
Still on strong, still goes strong. And I worked with him a lot. And Anthony was one of my favorite singers of all time. And he is still out there on the circuit doing those cruises, those Starlight cruises for the Caribbean, you know. And but again, a down-to-earth guy. Sammy Strain, who was with him. Sammy was with the OJs, and then he was with Little Anthony Imperials, you know. But Sammy Strain's another one, had big ties to Pittsburgh. I think his son still lives in Pittsburgh, right? So I'll never forget this. Kenny Mitchell, who, God bless him, he was in our band. He was with the Marcells, and he was with John Angel and the Halos. And Kenny is probably my favorite singer ever. I mean, he's...
Really?
Oh, he's probably... Next to Pete Hewlett is probably the best voice that ever come out of Pittsburgh.
I hope you folks are taking notes. Go ahead.
So Kenny's on a flight as part of the Marcells going out to L.A., and he's sitting next to Sammy Strain, who was with the OJs and Little Anthony. And Kenny said, "Hey, man, you worked with Johnny Angel, right?" And Sammy Strain said, "Yeah." He said, "Great band, man." He said, "Those cats can play." And he said, "Yeah, well, Jack asked me to join the band, and I don't know, man, you know, he's a very demanding guy and this and that." And he said, "I don't know if I want to do that." And Sammy Strain said, "Go now, tomorrow, do it." And Kenny
left yesterday.
Kenny joined us. And
there's so many evolutions of music, and it's not all just doo-wop. So we're going to try to, you know, pick out some generational stuff and kind of tie it into what he does and what he has done. You were also a representative that represented such people as the great Meadowlark Lemon. You were involved with him, one of my all-time favorites, the Harlem Globetrotters. And by the way, I get the new Pittsburgh Courier delivered to my house because I'm going to see my name in it one day. That means I got a shot. That was a great story. I didn't know that. I love that picture, though.
Yeah.
But Motown, that's what I grew up on. And I've told this story. I learned to dance. My sister would have these basement parties, right? And the music, those stacks of 45s would waffle through the duct system of the heat, you know, the furnace, into my room through the register. And I'd be there with a flashlight and a candle, and, you know, I'd be doing my thing. But you got a great connection to Motown. Tell me about that.
I've worked with a lot of the great Motown people. I sang background a couple times with Mary Wilson. Wow. I played drums for and backed the Marvelettes. I sang with Martha Reeves from the Vandellas. When the Temptations did their movie here in Pittsburgh.
Which I never knew that movie was made here until today.
It was made here, yeah. I was the technical advisor to get them locations that look like Detroit, because I've worked at the Rooster Tail and some of those places. And
you worked at the Rooster Tail?
Oh yeah, I was there with the Contours.
You were on the same bill as the Contours?
Several times. I even brought the Contours to Pittsburgh when I had the Emerald Room here in Pittsburgh. That was my club. Now it's the Roxy.
And McKee's Rocks.
Ricky Urbano owned it, and I ran it.
Let me tell you about this place. I purposely come to work during the week down Island Avenue just to see the marquee. And there's something going on there. You got charter buses. You've got young people who look like they could be my kids. Lined up down the street, around the bend. I mean, it's amazing.
It's the truth.
Tell me about that venue.
I did it when Ricky was, he had the 3D downstairs, you know, and he asked me if I wanted to do a gig at the Emerald Room, and I said, yeah, and it was very successful. And he said, why don't you use the room? He said, bring in national acts and do some stuff, and we did. I mean, we had everybody there. I mean, Eddie Holm and...
in McKee's Rocks.
In McKee's Rocks, yeah. And we would do... I'd take a young group that was just up and coming, mostly young kids that were like college style, and they did a cappella and that. So I'd have them open up the show, and then we would do an hour show, and then we would back whichever artist came in, right? So again, it was the Contours were one of the groups that I brought in, right? And Eddie Holman and the Times and Dee Dee Sharp and Len Berry and
1, 2, 3 Len Berry.
Yeah. So because of that, I sang for just about everybody. I mean, I sang background for all those folks, you know. And then when they did the movie here, the Temptations movie, and I helped them get some of the locations, I actually sang with the Temptations at Star Lake and got to sing My Girl, which is my favorite song in all the world.
Puckering. That's all I can say. How nervous were you? I mean...
Never a day in my life was I nervous on stage. That's the most comfortable place in the world for me. Yeah, I'm more nervous about one-on-ones and.
See, I can do this stuff, but there's no way.
Oh man,
no way. And what a gift, the Temptations, huh?
They're the best. They were the absolute
Knocked
best.
the Beatles out of the #1 spot, man.
And the Melvin Franklin, the bass singer, was my favorite. I mean, Melvin, he'd spend time, anytime we were together, he'd sit behind stage and tell me stories about growing up. And so when they did the movie here, I knew the whole story already. You know, it was like, which was kind of cool.
You know, what a lot of people don't realize, the whole Hitsville thing, it kind of a mirror image of Pittsburgh.
It sure is.
I mean, well, about recording studios back in Pittsburgh back in the day. Name me some of those recording studios.
Our first studio was WRS Motion Picture Studios in Oakland, and that's where we did our first record as the Cordells. And there was geez, I'm drawing blanks now because there's so many. But there had to be at least a dozen in Pittsburgh, big names, you know. And Gateway was probably the biggest. And then Jimmy Beaumont and those guys recorded here locally in Pittsburgh, you know, and then they got a national deal after that. But they started here in Pittsburgh.
So let me tell you, I got out of television in like 2009, but I still wanted to do some sort of visual stuff. And because I just like promoting and helping, and it's on my dime, nobody's making any money. When I moved into this little house in Monaca, this was my thought process. I was a one-man band, nobody filming for me, no editors, no nothing. Still had the radio gig. I started doing this research on Berry Gordy and Smokey. Barry worked for the Ford Motor Company.
Yep.
Took that thought process, the assembly line, and took it into that little house, and that's how he created and generated all his talent. So my little house in Monaca became my version of Hitsville
Motown, yeah.
in my basement, slicing and dicing and editing. I mean, I've done over 100,000 videos in 15 years, and I got to tell you, I get it now.
Yeah.
How he was able to do what he did, because some of the names you just rattled off, that's not even. I mean, you got the Jacksons, you've got obviously the Four Tops in there. I mean, Smokey we mentioned. You talked about Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Stevie Wonder. I mean.
Marvin Gaye, one of the biggest names ever.
And such a tragic ending.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the greatest singers
Yep.
of all time. Did you ever hear the story about when he got the divorce, the album? The judge basically said, you're going to go write a new album and she's going to get all the royalties.
I didn't know that.
Sexual healing, obviously, later that whole time. I mean, it's just, you got to, do you understand who you are? Do you ever look in the mirror and go, man, I really did have a pretty good journey? I mean, think about what you've done.
I'm very blessed. I mean, that's when I go in my museum.
Believe me, you got to get here.
Every exhibit there has a story that goes along with it. Most of them ate dinner at my house, you know. And when they'd come to town, I own restaurants, but I'm also a chef, so I would cook at the house. And then it'd end up at my restaurant, right? But one of the ones that really cracked me up was Joey D and the Starlighters, right? So he was in the Emerald Room with me, and I took him to the house to eat and cooked for him. And he sat around our big dining room table. Before we went for our sound check, he said, he did this for Mary Lou. He said, I got to tell you what, next to my mother, this is the best Italian meal I ever had in my life.
That's high praise.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. So meanwhile, if you know the story about him, I mean, Joe Pesci was in his band.
Yeah.
He was in the band. What's her name? Ronnie Spector. Her and her sister were dancers.
Tremendous.
The Groovin', the song Groovin', the Rascals, they were in the band. Jimi Hendrix was one of his guitar players. Okay.
I knew he played with James Brown for a while.
Yeah.
And Little Richard.
And Wilson Pickett. And
Jimi Hendrix played with Wilson Pickett, the Wicked Pickett.
And Curtis. I mean, he was a jazz player, like jazz and soul, you know.
Curtis Mayfield.
No, Curtis, he was a soul guy. He had 2 albums that came out. But that was his first real band, you know. And
so when music started to evolve and went in a different direction, obviously the British invasion, Stones, the Beatles, but then you had Led Zeppelin and all that. I still was full throttle on Motown. The first album I ever bought was James Brown. Still in love with him to this day. And I've come to the Mecca because this is as close as I'll ever get to meeting James Brown. Tell the folks about your connection to James Brown. This guy's got Christmas cards from the Godfather of Soul slapped up on the wall here every year up until the time the Godfather of Soul passed, James Brown.
The story with James Brown, he was always my hero because being a drummer, if you could play his licks, because they're all like, everything's on one.
They said he was rough too. too.
He was tough, man. But he was one of my idols because of where he came from and where he went was incredible, especially being black in a country where they were trying to hold him back. They didn't want him to be powerful, right? Yet he was the guy that stopped the riots when Dr. King died, and he was up in Boston and stopped the riots.
And did a concert right in the middle of all that.
Amen. It's amazing, right? But anyway, being in the presence of James Brown was like royalty for me, you know. So I did a couple gigs, and one time we were playing this one gig, and 3WS said to me, James Brown's the headliner, and I don't think he wants to give us an interview. He said, he likes you. Go up and talk to him. So I go up into the suites, and I knock on the door, and his lawyer came to the door, and he said, hey, Johnny, what's up? And I said, I was wondering if Mr. Brown would like to do an interview. And I know he probably won't because he hasn't been treated real well by the media and this and that. And he went, just then the door opens all the way. And there's James Brown, right? And he goes, Johnny, my man. And I went, Mr. Brown. He goes, did I call you Johnny? And I said, yeah. He said, you call me James. Well, that's big. I mean, that's like, I thought, man, I didn't even know he knew who I was, let alone call me Johnny, you know. And I said, you know, they want you to do an interview. And I said, you know, Pittsburgh loves you. And he goes, you know what, if you can get me police coverage from here down to the trailer, I'll go down and do an interview with you and only you.
You needed police coverage?
He was worried about walking through the crowd, you know. So thank God to Pittsburgh's finest.
Oh, yeah,
some of them showed up, helmets, the whole bit, and walked us down to me and James Brown with the towel on his back, the whole bit. We went into the thing. He gave me a 47-minute interview. While we were there, I asked him to sign some of these. I had some Live at the Apollo EPs. And he signed them. He goes,
where did you get those?
I collect. My collection's incredible, man. So he's signing them. And he goes, damn, Johnny, I don't even have one of these. Where'd you get this? And I said, I have another one at home. I said, since you signed these ones for me, I'll send it to you. So he gives me his home address.
Okay, so let me ask you, how good was he live?
He is the most incredible musician. He knows everything that's going on at all times. I mean, most of those accents, they weren't written down on the music. When he'd do this here, boom, you had to accent them, boom, boom, and you better be there. And if he didn't, he fines you $10 for every mistake.
And he actually was a pretty smart business guy,
Yeah,
from
he
what
was.
I hear.
He was.
But the other thing, when you look at, we were talking about different genres of music, you look at a young Michael Jackson, you look at people like Prince, you got to believe.
That's where they learned.
So why would a white kid from little Beaver County fall in love with James Brown? I mean, that's my all-time favorite. Why would I?
He could relate to everybody because he's a success story where I never thought I was going to go anywhere. I went to Oliver High School. I mean, it was racially torn. It was a neighborhood that there was a lot of fights and stuff like that, you know. And whenever you see a guy like James Brown who came from nothing, I mean, literally nothing, and succeeded at the height that he succeeded in, to me was just totally incredible. I mean.
So let me ask you something else, and I look at the world a little bit different now because the older I get, the more refined and educated I get, or maybe I'm not going at the speed of light. So Denzel Washington,
Yes.
August Wilson, Fences, the movie, Viola Davis, tears running down my face. I didn't realize, and we all went to the Civic Arena, but I didn't realize that they basically tore apart many of these incredible black neighborhoods, the Hill, when they put that flying saucer in the middle of our city. So then, housing projects, low-income housing, put into situations that you really wouldn't want to live in, and then the mills started to close, the drugs came in.
Yep.
So let's just be honest about this. Blacks weren't treated very fairly for a long time. Is that a fair statement?
They weren't treated?
They weren't treated fair.
Never.
Never. Okay, good.
Again, I mean, I talk about that a lot, especially when young black artists come in here and I talk to them about a green book.
Oh,
Most of them don't even know what it is.
Tell them about it. I saw the movie based on what this is. Tell everybody.
Green Book was a book given to entertainers, especially singers, when they would go on the road.
No matter how big they were.
Sammy Davis Jr., okay? When they would go to a large venue, like let's say they were playing in Pittsburgh and they were playing at the Stanley Theater, they weren't allowed to stay at the hotel across the street. They had to go up to the Hill.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, they weren't allowed to eat in the restaurants. They weren't allowed, at nighttime, certain cities they were traveling through, they had midnight rules. You weren't allowed out when it was dark if you were black. I mean, it was horrible.
Listen,
I mean, it's...
Smokey talked about when they had that Motown, they'd go out and tour, their bus was shot at.
Absolutely. It had a rope that separated the blacks and whites. And I mean, Smokey, Mary Wilson told me a lot of stories. And she's the one, she said, when I was on the first tour, she said, it was Smokey that stood up on stage, put those clubs down and let these young kids have fun. And they were worried about they were going to kill them. I mean, it was like...
How about how lucky we are still to have Smokey?
He's a gift.
He is a gift.
I mean, all the stuff that he's done. In fact, he built Motown.
No doubt.
You know, you can say what you want about how Berry Gordy did things, but Smokey was his right arm. And the second arm that was real close to him was Harvey Fuqua.
Who's that?
Harvey Fuqua was the lead singer of the Moonglows, who was married to Berry Gordy's sister. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, and Marvin Gaye was married to his other sister.
That didn't work out so well. But yeah. And didn't Jermaine Jackson marry one of the, I think, Berry Gordy's daughters?
Could have, yeah.
And that Tamala or something came out of that?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
Bottom line is, that was the greatest era ever for music. I love
agree.
Motown. That label, that color, you knew whatever it was going to be great.
The music of young America. That was on the labels at first.
I think it had a lot to do with bringing the white and the black race together.
Absolutely. Yeah, the music was for young America. He didn't care what color you were. And when you think about it, think of all the black artists that weren't popular. They were popular, but only in the neighborhoods on black rhythm and blues stations, right? Mm-hmm. Think about those that became really big. It was Motown. That was the first one that really pushed it, the whites and blacks together.
Okay, let me talk about the place that's been taking care of my children and now my grandchildren, KDKA Odyssey. Names like Art Palin, Clark Race. How important were they to the music scene?
Very much so. I mean, Clark Race I have stories about Clark Race too, you know. And
talk to me.
Clark Race, you know, when he had his television show, you know, and he used to do different things like...
he did have a television show?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
His television show was kind of like Dick Clark's American Bandstand.
Was it called Dance Party? No.
Dance Party,
okay.
Yeah. And so here's a perfect example. So I'm doing a gig at the Emerald Room with the Pixies 3, 442 Glenwood Avenue, right? And they come to my house, we're eating dinner, and they said, do you ever run into him? And I said, yeah. I said, I have his phone number, you know.
Big.
And they said, could you call him? And I said, yeah. So I called his number, and his wife answered, and she said, kid, what do you want? And I said, I have some friends here that wanted to talk to him, and I didn't want to bother you and this and that, but I think he might want to talk to them. And she said, who is it? And I said, it's the Pixies 3. And next thing you know, he's on the phone. He goes, what the hell do you want? I said, the Pixies 3 are here, and they're talking about being in the boat at Kennywood on your show. They talked for 45 minutes. It was like, that's the way he was.
Well, you know, Reach Cordick left for the West Coast, okay? He actually went out to replace Bob Crane, who would star in Hogan's Heroes. And Clark went out there to do a game show. And I think in the back of our mind, I've often thought, okay, I go somewhere and I don't make it. I don't know anybody. If I don't make it here, at least I know people.
Know people,
right,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, everything about us, the Iron City, I mean, it's who we are.
That's right.
And I mean, I just can't imagine being anywhere else. So how close were you to that massive, like Ed Sullivan, bandstand, just something that was right there that you could taste it, and for one reason or another, it just slipped away? Because you obviously had the talent.
No, we had a lot of opportunities that I never took advantage of. My whole thing was, my guys probably hated me because I turned down more than I...
Because you could have just, back when this whole doo-wop thing resurfaced, you could have just dominated.
Well, I ran the Vocal Group Hall of Fame Museum at the time. So, you know, I did have the connections, and I rubbed elbows with everybody. I mean, most of the entertainers that I became friends with, they were just like buddies. I mean, Caesar Berry calls me every week from the Times.
Who Caesar Berry is again.
He's in the group The Times. As we stroll along together. Anyway, him and I are...
You still got your stroke, man. You do. And you look great. I'm so happy you're healthy. Let me make this comparison, and you're the brain trust. I like rap. I like all types of music. I can listen to Sinatra one day and Jay-Z the next. But if you look at the origin of rap, and you go back to doo-wop, basically using your voice as an instrument. Does it make sense where I'm going with this?
Makes a lot of sense. Most of the phrasings that you did back in doo-wop, there weren't bands. We did most of the stuff a cappella. So the drum machines where you're boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, which is what's rap doing now. I mean, that's all vocal percussion.
It is.
You know what I mean? But when you think about where did rap really start, think about James Brown's early career. He was rapping before it was popular. James Brown was one of the first rap artists there was, and he'd do his thing, and he'd repeat the same line over and over and over. You would hear a 2-bar chord go for 7 minutes. No chord change, no nothing, just straight. And he might just say something like, get down, get. That was rap. I mean, it was like...
Do you think a lot of that, too, even Elvis and Little Richard and all them, they got that gospel, that church background, too, a little bit. And you singing in church, too. I mean, let me tell you something. You'll never see me criticize anybody who does karaoke. Because I love to just watch it, but I admire anybody who has the courage. Look, I can talk all day in front of a camera, microphone, but you will never catch me singing. And I got to tell you, I admire people that sing in church. You know, I would go to, Catholic church on a regular basis, and you'd have the people in the choir, and you would watch them come down from the balcony because they got communion first.
Yep.
And you were like, there's Mr. So-and-so, and there's Mrs. So-and-so. Boy, they can really sing. There are some people out there. That's what I love all of these different shows, but I still wish they would bring back like a variety, like an Ed Sullivan show.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, just Sunday night. So the Hollywood Palace, so we could actually see the people that we listen to all the time. But to have the ability to sing, what a gift from God that is. And no one knows it more than you. And with this health thing that you went through, how rough was it to not so much fear that you were going to live during COVID when you had that and all the other things you went through, but would you ever sing again?
Well, with the COVID comeback, I didn't think I'd be alive. I mean, I was on the machines and everything else.
How bad was that?
I was in the hospital, intensive care for 11 days, in the hospital for 2 months, on oxygen for 11 months. They didn't think I'd ever sing again. And I made a comeback show at the casino, and it goes on. But the worst thing for me ever, I mean, I beat cancer twice. I had COVID, but the stroke is what got me. When I got hit with this stroke, my whole left side was paralyzed, and my vocal cords were paralyzed.
Jeez.
And I thought, I'll probably never sing again. But to this day, I mean, I just sang with the Wee Jams a couple of weeks ago, William Dell, and again, good people. I mean, Bill came down, he was bugging me, come on, man, you got to get out, you got to get out. And I'm stubborn. I'm like, if I can't be anywhere near as good as I was before I had the stroke, I can't go back out. And he come down, he said, let's do some a cappella. They came down here, and we sat and did 2 hours worth of a cappella. He said, I want you to do a gig with me in 2 weeks. And I said, okay. And he said, but now that you've agreed to do this, why don't you stay and do the whole night with me? And I did. And it was his pushing that got me to come back. Now, I'm still not happy with where I am. I mean, I'm very blessed that I'm here.
You look great.
And I'm doing more than most people that went through what I did, but I'm still a little bit bitter because the love that I had for this business, I'm hurting with it. You know, it's like I want to do everything that I did before, but I don't know if I ever will again. I can't even play my drums like I used to, you know, and it's scary. It's a scary thing, but I'm still blessed, man. It's like...
But, think about it, though. And we're talking about... And I actually know his brother Pete Sacco. Lou Christie just passed away.
Yeah.
And I told you this before when we were at the Jenny Lee Breakfast Nook, which is a great place, rock and roll eggs. Check it out in Moon Township. Got that swirl bread that people love so much. But, I mean, I knew who he was. But when he passed, obviously you get re-engaged. I'm driving one night, hot summer night. He had just passed. Lou Christie, lightning strikes twice. I said, I'm going to crank this up. And I literally was banging my hand on the dashboard going, damn, this guy can sing.
Yeah, he could sing.
Dear God.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get that talent, your talent? Where does that come from?
It's a gift. You can't just teach it.
That.
Yeah, I do believe that.
You can't teach somebody.
No. You either have, just like everyone always says to me, they call me the soul papa on my radio show, right? And they say, tell me what soul is. I said, you can't be taught. It's like you either have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, you can get it, but you got to feel it. It's got to come into you. It's almost like a religion. You know what I mean?
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because God's intervening with that sound.
That's exactly right.
What do you see out there today? Anything you like today?
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about what's present. What do you like now?
I will tell you a group right now, if they don't make it within the next year, something is wrong.
Okay.
And they're out of Youngstown, and they're called the Vindies.
Okay.
They're the 11-piece band.
11 pieces.
They're very soulful.
Horns?
Horns and everything.
Gotta have a horn.
And these kids play like you wouldn't believe. And this singer, this Jackie Popovic, is by far the best female vocalist I've seen since ever. I mean, she's a throwback to Janis Joplin, but she sings better. You know what I mean? And she's right on the cusp of breaking it. But I don't see any big record deals that would push her, you know. But something has to happen because this girl is incredible. And all their stuff, they write it themselves.
Listen, it's so different now with these labels. I listen to all types of music, and I was listening to a syndicated show with one of the Everly Brothers' sons. And he was talking about how his father and his uncle, basically, Columbia said, okay, you got a 20-minute record contract. You do 4 cuts. We'll tell you when that's enough, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
No rehearsal, live. You get 20 minutes, and you're on the clock. Sign on the dotted line, and they did. And that's what they did back in the day. They basically had the artist in the palm of their hand, and they
That's
said,
right.
if we tell you how high to jump, that's how high you jump. But now, in the old days, you sold records by going out and doing shows, and now it's about going out and doing shows. And I don't have anything against these giant venues, but it's not like the Emerald Room. It's not like the Holiday House. It's not like Twin Coaches. It's not like what Ciro's Top of the Mall is where I worked, where the audience is right there.
That's right.
And I think we're really missing something with that.
I think that's what's a problem with a lot of young people, because they don't understand that if it's not this big venue, it's not success. I disagree. I mean, I would rather be in a 200-seat, up close and personal, and and this is the way I am on stage. When I walk into a room, I already studied my audience.
Really?
And I can tell, as soon as I get a laugh, I know where I'm going from my next laugh. It's right over here, you know, and that's where it's going to be. I have a crier. I know when someone tears up, I know when I sing my ballad, I'm right there. Yeah, you know.
God, that's just... Who taught you all this stuff, or was it in your pedigree? Did you just learn it on your own? And who were some of your mentors?
I mean, the ones that I watched, and like Sammy Davis Jr. to me was the greatest entertainer that ever lived. Nat King Cole was the greatest singer I ever heard. You know what I mean? And to watch them and how natural they were and how comfortable they were in the room. And then, of course, Sinatra. I mean, when you watch Sinatra, the grace that he had on the stage and the way he pronounced his words was like, he had everyone in the palm of his hands.
I was just watching something today, waiting for you or somebody. My 75th birthday celebration, he was with Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
Listen, how do you have a mom, Judy Garland, with that talent, and then you get that? See, people don't like, I hope you all knew who Liza Minnelli is. Dear God. She basically made him look like he was 25 again.
Yeah.
And you were speaking to Nat King Cole, and he's got all this different neon and memorabilia, and one of them is for that cool cigarette brand. That, man, I took a puff on one of those one time hanging out at this all-black club in Freedom, and I'm going to tell you right now, it about knocked my whatever I had on my feet off. But Nat King Cole thought that actually helped his voice.
Yeah.
And he just smoked and smoked.
They killed him.
He was in his 40s.
Yeah. That's right.
But I got to talk about Sammy Davis for just a minute. This is like my vacation night here. I get to ask all these questions. I've only read one book in my entire life. I read a lot of little stuff, but I'm not a novelist. I don't read a lot of novels. But my mother, because I was having a tough time learning as a kid, I couldn't read. I'm like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Watched the Tonight Show. She'd let me get out of bed at night. I'd sit at the foot of their bed. My dad would say, "What's all that racket?" She'd say, "Go back to sleep." We'd be watching that RCA black and white TV
Absolutely.
Tonight Show, you know? And I love Sammy Davis.
Yeah,
and the whole Rat Pack thing, but I gravitated to Sammy Davis. So my mother said, "Hey, this biography, Yes I Can, is the name of the book. Read it." I loved every minute. And what I don't understand, and I watch at least a video or two of him every other day, why they don't make his life story. Like Ray Charles, like what Jamie Foxx did there. You're right, listen, people don't realize he's another guy. Why there's a Michael Jackson, but nobody had that stage presence. And I listened to some of his music on that Sirius Sinatra station. This was raw in the studio. Sinatra did it the same way. When he basically had Nelson Riddle conducting, he went live on that track to
That's
record
right.
with the instruments right there.
Yep.
I'm fascinated that you would find Sammy Davis as much as I found him fascinating.
Sammy Davis Jr. to me was the greatest of everything. He could play drums, he could play guitar, he could play trumpet, best tap dancer in the world. The guy he was one of the original hoofers. I mean, the guy could dance his butt off, right? So when I look at a Sammy Davis and I'm sitting there going like, you talk about someone being blessed. He was blessed in so many categories. He could act, he could sing, everything he did perfect.
Let me tell you, my dear mother, God rest her soul, her favorite film, she would watch it as a film then, now it's video, and I see it all the time, and I think of her, and I would actually show it to her later in life to make her smile when he was 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You be dead, you rascal, when I'm gone. You know, doing that with that
Absolutely.
little
Derby, yeah.
My mom would go, such a sweet baby, such a sweet baby. But he was just, and then obviously he lost his eye, and you've gone through some tragedy of late because of COVID, losing.
I lost my eyesight in my left eye, yeah.
And he said and he was with Dick Cavett one night, and he said, what people didn't realize, I had to learn to dance again.
Yep.
And even pouring a drink, you might go straight on, but I had you know, God
I'm
bless
there.
you. God bless you. So I'm just saying, this guy overcame so much, and then because of Mira Britt, a woman who was not of color,
Yep.
this guy was tortured. He was actually
Death threats.
beaten up in the army because
Yep.
of it. I mean, the thought process, where are we when you think about, and why haven't we come so much further today, and we still have this nonsense going on?
I could never understand how somebody could spend all this money to go see somebody live and praise them, and then can't sit in the restaurant next to you. Are you kidding me? It's like...
Do you understand, if it wasn't for Sammy Davis, I love Dean Martin, proud of Steubenville, love Francis Albert from Hoboken, Joey Bishop from Philly, Peter Lawford, who just was always at the right place at the right time. It was Sammy.
Yeah.
The little Birth of the Blues, I was watching the same thing. Listen, raw. I mean, on stage at the Sands, he just crushed it. He may have been 5'0"
Yep.
but he was just dynamic.
I have one of the DVDs here that I play in my store here a lot of them at the Sands, the Rat Pack at the Sands. And when you see what Sammy Davis Jr. did between his impressions and the comedy and the fact that he did stuff which was very, very, very racial at the time. I mean, like, think about it. You know, here's Sammy Davis Jr. and they're doing jokes about Yo Mammy and absolutely, and he picks them up like, I mean, stuff like that. Yet it was not done in a distasteful way. It was done out of a respectful way. I mean, you know what I mean?
I know.
And I sit there and I watch that and I go like...
And here's the other thing. What I always loved about Sammy, more than just his talent, I loved the fact he was Jewish.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's probably when I first started to lean into the faith. I thought that was the coolest. I was fascinated by the Star of David.
Yep.
Listen, and from everything I hear about Dean, great guy, Frank, great guy, and when you would hear that monotone announcer, the Sands proudly presents, and you know they would come out. But here's the fascinating thing about the Rat Pack, which I didn't know: Judy Garland, Humphrey Bogart, and then would play cards in Beverly Hills, and I'm sure they had a few hot toddies, and they weren't always so hot. But that's where the whole Rat Pack thing came from. And Sinatra was
Lauren Bacall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and see, the other thing too is, I went to the Holiday House years ago. I had a chance to interview Suzanne Summers, Shalimar, really, but it was at the tail end of it. I worked at this place, Ciro's Top of the Mall, which we talked about before. Don't you miss venues like that?
I do. And especially when some of them are historic places. The Twin Coaches and the Holiday House.
Joe Dentisi, God rest his soul, he told me, he said, I went to this place the Supremes were playing. I said, come on, Joe. He said, I'm telling you, Diana Ross and the Supremes. Yeah. And when he told me that he would go watch Jimmy Beaumont live, I thought he was like drinking. It was in the middle of the afternoon. He said, no, that's my wife and I. We danced to that music. But these Twin Coaches brought in, where was that place at?
Temptations, not far, on 51, you know, 30.
Near Carnegie?
No, it's going away from, it's where the state police is on Route 30.
Okay.
You know, and it's not, where it was is overgrown by trees now. But I mean, it was going south, it was on the left-hand side. I'll never forget that, because I was there with the Temptations. We opened for the show, and the Temps were not supposed to be in until the next day, and they came in early, and half of the band wasn't there. And we had the opportunity to check that out, which was like...
You never have been nervous before something?
Not on stage, no. On stage, I mean, it's the most comfortable place in the world for me.
You're in the dressing room chopping it up with the Temptations, this kid from Manchester, and then you're going to go out and open for him. I mean, palms got to get a little sweaty now,
Nope.
Jack.
No. There's a funny story with the Temptations. We were working with them. I forget where it was. We're opening up for them. And right when they did that song, the old Motown records, you know, come on, old town, put the in the Rod Stewart song, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the Temptations are singing the background on that, and I knew that. So I'm talking to Otis before we went on, and I said, do you do that song in your show? And he goes, no, we don't do it. He said, we backed Rod Stewart. I said, because we were going to do it in our show, but not because it's the Temps, because we love it so much and to pay honor to you guys. Yeah, go ahead. So Temps are standing on the side, and we do this song, right?
Oh, God.
He come out, he say, hey, nice job, blah, blah, blah. They come out, second song of the night, they go, we had a request to do this song. And then he went like, this is the way it was done.
So let me ask you about one other group, and then we're going to get out of here because it's been a long day for everyone. Where did the Isley Brothers fit in with all this stuff? I've been kind of leaning back into some of the Isley Brothers' early stuff, like Twist and Shout and all that.
That's not even the early stuff. They were doo-wop when they first started.
Come on.
Oh, yeah. They did some doo-wop stuff before that. And then, of course, Shout was their big, and Twist and Shout, and then the Beatles stole it, you know, that kind of stuff. And all those.
Beatles did that a couple of times.
Yeah. But the Isley Brothers were another one of those ones that they were part of the history the whole time, but they never got the due that they should have. You know, I don't think so.
Well, you know, the fascinating thing about, you mentioned the Beatles, I found out that Paul McCartney owns the library of Buddy Holly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You ever listen to something? This guy was 22 when he died. He may have been from Texas, but I think he liked a little bit of that rhythm and blues.
Yes, he did.
Boy, Raining in My Heart's one of my favorite Buddy Holly songs. And you think they had a bass player, stand-up bass, drummer, who I guess Waylon Jennings actually was with the Crickets for a while.
He was, yeah.
But I mean, that's talent. And then he was like, really became a producer, 22 years of age. And he dies in that plane crash. Who knows what he might have ended up owning a record label.
He could have, yeah. I mean, it was the movie's so good. Whatchamacallit plays a good role of him, you know.
He was
and to know that, yeah, Gary Busey, he crushes that role. And but I don't know how many people really know the history of Buddy Holly, because they only know that he did a couple cool songs, you know. But I understand that he had a book of music that was never ever released.
Really?
Yeah, just like with Prince. I mean, Prince, they said Prince could actually cut a new album. You know, he's not here. They could release a new album every year for the next 20 years. And
all right, so how's come you never ended up on drugs or in an alley somewhere? I mean, because look, Frankie Lyman, we'll be here all night. I mean, Prince, God rest his soul. Michael Jackson, God rest his soul.
Drugs is a weakness.
Hendrix.
You know.
And you obviously were around it.
Oh, I run a lot.
But what made you decide no?
I have to be. I'm a perfectionist in things when I do, and
I can see it.
If I'm not 100% in control, I don't want to do it. And when you're with drugs, you're not in control. Even with alcohol, I never drank on stage. I mean, it was like afterwards. I love Jameson. I could sit there, you know, but. No, I mean, it's a strictness. You have to be in control of what you're doing, and you're out there to perform. You're out there to perform and make people happy. And if you're not in control of yourself, how can you be out there?
See, the thing that I always push back on, they say, well, it helped their creativity. No. That's somebody who's on the payroll who's saying that. But think about Hendrix, Morrison, Janis Joplin. To this day, when I hear her voice, it blows me away.
Yep.
And they all were in their 20s.
They were in their 20s.
I mean, it's really sad, man.
But
Mac Miller.
Yeah,
it's sad.
but the look at the longevity. I mean, They were in here till they were in their
Well,
early 20s.
Let's talk business, then I am going to say goodbye because I love talking to Jack. And come over to the museum. I'm going to let him give you all the details and how you can help out, step up. And he also has great memorabilia, all sorts of collectible stuff as well. But he mentioned people like Little Richard and others. They literally were robbed. Even Elvis Presley, who passed way too soon, Colonel Parker had him under his
He got
thumb.
ripped off.
He's playing for Baron Hilton on contracts that were written on cocktail napkins because of a gambling debt. Elvis died with a $5 million estate. Now, they have made close to $1 billion since
That's right.
that, and he sold 1 billion records. So that's just heart-wrenching, overweight, out of shape, addicted to drugs, barnstorming the country. Colonel Parker wouldn't let him go out of the country. He was afraid to fly. I mean, he just did all kinds of weird things to his head. But I think the artists today, like what Taylor Swift did, buying her product back, I think they have learned a lot, or at least I hope so. You've managed people. You've got to have a good manager. Billy Joel got ripped off. The late, great Doris Day got ripped off.
That's right.
I mean, Jack, talk about the business of being an
One of the things I pride myself on is that I've done all my business. From
Everything.
Everything. And I was a business person. I mean, that's my background is business, you know. And so that's even before being a musician. But all the young people, when they come to me and they say, what advice could you give me? And I always tell them, you might have the gift, you might be able to do everything in the world, but if you don't know the business, it ain't worth anything.
Well, you know what, Joe Dentisi from Coons Market, God rest his soul, I learned so much from that man. He said, if you want to make sure that you'll never be out of work, become an accountant. He said, he went back at a little accounting, took an accounting course, he said it changed his life.
Yeah.
So I crunch numbers now, I look at things differently, and no matter what anybody thinks, even Taylor Swift will get old.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody stays young forever. When you think about names like Jimmy Beaumont, Janet Vogelrap, sadly both are gone now. But this is what's so fascinating, and I hope my kids watch this, even if I have to drag them to my house to make them. Jimmy Beaumont and Janet Vogelrap and the Skyliners, and I was talking to Donna Groom about this not too long ago, they were as massive and as big as anything that's out there today in this country at one time, were they not?
They were, and you know, the thing is Jimmy's head never was as big as he should have been. Because Jimmy...
He never even talked. Maybe he talked to you. He was real quiet.
He was so huge when they'd go to New York, they were headliners. And they come to Pittsburgh and he's playing in the same clubs I'm playing in.
Where's he originally from?
Mount Washington area.
Okay.
But, you know, but Jimmy was... he was a very private guy, you know, and Jimmy does not like the limelight. I mean, he's not one of these guys. You know what I mean? Here's a quick story about Jimmy. We were playing this thing up north. I forget where it was. The Marcel's, Skyliners, us, and I think the Vogues were on it. And the night before, they invited us all to this restaurant to come up and break bread and have drinks. And I walked in, and a guy knew me real well, and he said, hey, man, is everyone coming? I said, yeah, I think they're all coming up. And he goes, hey, if Jimmy Beaumont comes, man, please, would you please introduce me to him? I said, absolutely. And he goes, do you think he's going to come? And I went, do yourself a favor. I said, what? I said, look down that bar. He looks down the bar, and he said, you see the guy with the baseball hat? That's Jimmy Beaumont.
You know, that Roxy, man, that thing in the Rocks, they got something going on over there. I don't know who owns it, but I'd love to see the inside of that place. Is it beautiful?
They put a lot of money into it.
Who owns it now? Do you even know?
Rick sold it, and it was run by a committee for a while. I was supposed to run it whenever I was doing that. And they had this, it was run by a committee of 10, 12 people or something like that. And I said, no, you don't want me to run it if I have to answer to 10 or 12 people.
I want to get an Uber one night or somebody to have a designated driver. I want to go to Rudy's Bar on Island Avenue, grab some Mancini stuff, maybe go see the folks with Jenny Lee, and then go watch a show or two at the Roxy, and then God can take me. It's all over, man. Hey, listen, I love you. You are such a crown jewel, and you Jagoff, you know, the product, his daughter, they do incredible work as well. You can hear them on KDK, and their podcast is just huge. I don't know what they do, but they have the magic.
She does.
Listen.
They do.
Listen, I'll have one lady in Wilmerding respond to what I did here tonight. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I love that podcast, Ron. Keep it up. I used to dance to him when I was a kid growing up. But isn't this just, I love the North Side. I love Pittsburgh, man. and the juice just being in Pittsburgh. I even like, I'm coming up Chateau Street, coming off the, all this traffic, hustling, bustling, the casino over there. And honest to God, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
You could offer me a penthouse in Manhattan. I would rather live in a row house on the north side.
I could not live in Manhattan. I mean, I'd like to visit it, but I'm a Pittsburgher, man. It's like,
Did you really swim in the river?
oh, hell yeah. I could tell you a quick story about it. When you jump off that beam, any of
Don't do
those
this at
beams.
home,
No,
kids.
don't do this, kids. This is the initiation for any of the kids who hung with us would be you have to climb up this ladder and jump off the beam. Now, when you're there at night, you don't know what you're hitting. As soon as you hit the water, the river rats go.
I'll give you a quick story. So a couple of years ago, I did the polar plunge. But when they would go into the river, not these little pools over here
Yeah.
in Station Square.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I got this, man. I did a little swimming in my life. So they tether you down, the fire, men and women, whatever, they're police officers. So I go in, and that old Allegheny started taking me. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
they pulled me back. I'm going to tell you something right now.
There's a current.
Oh, my God. But I also, because of the Fighting Comanches, those great brothers, my boss, PJ, I love the North Side, love that family. I would ask them about what it was like when Western Penitentiary was here. And they said what was on the inside of the walls was one thing, but we were outside on the other side, literally a few feet from the inside to the outside, having fun, playgrounds, living life. It was like a normal
I
thing.
played ball in the pen, not as an inmate.
Inside.
Inside.
I got to ask, listen, the mayor of Kingstown is coming back with Jeremy Renner on Paramount Plus. I like him. I like the premise, but I love the scenery and all the different places that they shoot right over here on the north
Absolutely.
side. What was that place like, the penitentiary?
I mean, I can't even. How do I say this without saying something offending somebody?
Was it eerie?
No, hell no. I knew a lot of the people that were in there.
What do you know? Listen, those guards used to call me on my show at night. I mean, a lot of good people. I mean, but man, some of the stories. I mean, there were some hardcore criminals.
Oh, there were. Yeah, there were.
But anyway, go ahead.
But
So-
most of them are in lockdown. They were not in the yard with the. When we're playing ball there,
right in like inside the yard.
Yeah, absolutely. Against the inmates.
Well, now, who put that together?
I don't
Did
know.
You promote that?
I played it. I mean, I played 2 games there when I played for the Garfield Club,
What's
But
the Garfield Club?
it's on the north side. It's a private club in Pittsburgh. When you become 21, your parents take you in
Listen,
there.
I did say something to him earlier. Let's just be honest. They did clean it up quite a bit. But when the these, them, and those guys, God bless them all, I kind of come from a little bit of that background, like mom's dad. When they were kind of running the show,
It was safe.
you didn't have a lot of this horrible stuff. And if you watch the mayor of Kingstown, kind of got that little flavor to it,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what can I say about the government?
I don't care.
No, listen to me. This is the greatest line of all. Go ahead. I would use it, but it might actually launch my career.
No, I'm not going to use it.
We won't use it. But I'm going to tell you something.
You can someday just slip for that.
Yeah, like when I've been told you literally have an hour to live. That's what I can say. But you have such a great comedic talent. See, that's another thing that we don't see a lot of. I love stand-up comics.
Yeah.
And I miss, going to like watch a Shecky Green. I mean, I saw some legendary comics. And there's Nikki Glazer's out there, Sarah Silverman's out there. There's some great comics. But where's Joan Rivers? In that nightclub setting.
Absolutely.
Dawn Rivers.
The Holiday House. They were there all the time.
I mean, but these rooms, listen, I understand. But how are you going to get the vibe, or feel that bass in your chest, because it's boom, boom, when you're like in
You
peanut
can't.
heaven? I mean, jumbo screen or no jumbo screen.
No, I'm not with it. I've played at Three Rivers Stadium, 60,000 people. It's a great feel. You know what I mean?
But it's hard. I mean, I've done
No.
PA. I mean, it's hard to even, because of the feed.
Try singing the national anthem there,
Listen,
because you get triple feedback.
how do you do that?
You got to totally. When we did it for the Pirates and of course the Steelers, we would do a semicircle, and you listen to the guy next to him. Don't listen to what's out there. As soon as you listen to what's out there, you're going to throw it off. 'Cause it's like you get a double whammy comes back. So I go, hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. So if you're singing the national anthem, you're going, oh, say. all of a sudden you're coming back.
I just had Mary Hours on Sunday, who does a great job with the weather on Channel 2. She went to Lincoln Park. She's actually a pretty good entertainer. She sang the national anthem for the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
I told her, I said, Mary, I said, and she's done it before. I go, that place was like chaos.
Yeah.
They just lock in. You guys just lock in.
You have to.
See, I think what I do is more just like hanging out on the porch, talking to friends,
Yeah.
and that's why it works. But to actually have something come out that is enjoyable to listen to. And, I mean, when you, like another performer, like Jackie Wilson, I'm kind of going through this whole thing with him. They talk about Elvis kind of dyed his hair because of Roy Orbison, but wanted to perform like Jackie Wilson. And I mean, Jackie Wilson would take these like salt tablets to make him sweat because the women kind of like that.
Absolutely.
And they think eventually that's why kind of what.
Tom Jones, same way.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, Tom Jones is 80-some years of age.
85.
He can still sing. Engelbert Humperdinck in his 80s can still sing.
Yep.
Listen, listen, I could be here all night. Tell everybody about this place, where you're located, when they can come and see, how they can help you, how they can get their hands on all this stuff.
I mean, I used to be here Tuesday through Sunday, and then I had a stroke a year ago. And now I'm only here on Saturdays and Sundays, hopefully getting back a couple more days. But right now it's Saturday and Sunday. And I open at 11 o'clock, and I stay here until I run out of steam. And then whenever, that's the sad part with the stroke, when you get tired, I'll fall asleep if I don't, And but the publicity that we got from Visit Pittsburgh, what's the other one called? There's so many of them, but they all gave us in the Bike Museum in Randyland high ratings. And it's like the one article they put out said 3 of the top 10 places to visit when you're in Pittsburgh you must go to, and it's Randyland, Bicycle Heaven, and John Angel's Ginchy stuff. So 80-some% of the people that come here are from out of state and out of country. The people that live in this neighborhood, I still got one last week. I had someone come over and say, "When did you open this?" They lived here their whole life, 10 years ago.
Listen, I've known them forever, and I heard about it, and I follow them, and I watch some of this stuff. But honestly, I expected like a storage unit. I didn't expect like a neighborhood. This place has got its own zip code. I mean, Jack, listen. Nice. I got to believe the people come in here, especially those who were actually falling in love, dancing to this music, or maybe a widower. It must just make their heart joyful.
It does. It does. And that to me is more rewarding than the money, because sometimes I don't even make enough money in here to pay the rent. You know what I mean?
Electric bill.
But I love it. Because when you watch someone's face, or especially someone, I had some young people come in last week, and the first thing out of their mouth was, I got to see this picture again. There's a picture of me singing at Three River Stadium. I was in that audience. I was a kid when I first heard you sing, and now they're telling their kids about what it was like, and then their parents come in and they go, "I remember when I used to take my kids to see you."
How many shows have you done? Do you know?
Oh my God.
Thousands.
Oh, yeah. At one point, we were doing, we played every night of the week, like 300 gigs a year, And,
when was this? 70s?
70s, yeah. Late 60s,
now,
early 70s.
Was that your full-time gig, or did you have another job?
No, I always had two jobs. So when I was in high school, our first record came out. I was 16. Okay.
Well, I bet you didn't have a tough time getting a prom.
We were still playing after-hours joints in that during the week while I was in school. So when I was working for Bell Atlantic, the Pittsburgh Business Times came out with a thing that said, "Jack Hunt, better known as Johnny Angel, Moonlighter." And my boss went like, what are you doing?
Listen, when I was 16, I was looking to get some Clearasil to clean my face up, and pray to God my sisters would help me with my algebra. Honest to God, a record at 16.
16 years old. Yep.
And they played it on the radio?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like driving around, man?
My record right now, they sell it on, it's part of the Northern Soul catalog. It's going for $50 to $100 over in Europe, the 45.
You getting any money on that?
No, not a dime. There's a book out there that was written by Ed Solomon. Talks about all the Pittsburgh groups. You should check it. I mean, it's like everybody's story's in there. I'm in there like 3 times. And he tells the story about the Cordells, how our first record came out, and You didn't know. I was 15 years old when we recorded, 16 when it was released. And I got a car. I mean, I was able to get a cool car. It wasn't brand new.
What'd you get?
I got a 63, it was used, but it was badass, Ford Galaxy with power windows and power seats.
What color was it?
It was cream. With dark interior, right? And so first time they were playing ours, Chuck Brinkman was playing our record a lot. You know?
Legend.
And it was summertime. We just came off this little mini tour and going back to school. And I have this car now, you know. And I would sit by the parking lot of Oliver and wait until I would hear our song come on. And we'd come on, power windows going on.
You had that beautiful just swath of hair, man. Blonde. Oh,
Yep,
man.
yep. And what was funny about it is I'll go to our reunions now. There's 50 years and 55 years and this and that. And most of them go like, I didn't even know you were in a band in high school.
Listen, I've known you as a restaurateur, a businessman, and I knew of you. But man, when I mention your name to this day, people are like, or I didn't know he was involved with Jenny Lee. My God, that guy, it's like, I'm telling you, you're like right there with some of these other bands. So of all the musicians from Pittsburgh, your favorites, I mean, they're all special, but people that you just, man, what talent.
My favorite, I've said this many, 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 many times, and I'll say it another 1,000 times. Pete Hewlett is probably the best singer to ever come out of Pittsburgh. He sang with Billy Joel for 7 years. He was in a group called Nouveau Combo. He beat me in the Westview Park Battle of the Bands back in the 60s.
Do you remember when the Stones played there real quick?
Yeah.
Did James Brown play there? No.
I think he did play there,
Okay.
yeah. James,
okay, but anyway,
yeah,
I didn't mean to throw you off. So tell me about this Pete guy.
But Pete is, he's just such an incredible artist. I mean, he's been in many bands. He's had records out. He was in Sweet Pete and Sweet Lightning, all these great groups, right? But Pete, I've never seen him do a bad show. I've never seen him, even when he don't feel good, his voice is still incredible and spot on. He's probably the most talented guy I ever worked with in my life.
I've talked to people about Joe Bruschecki, and I've had him on. Many people were like, this guy was like right there, should have been there, over the top. You know, really was kind of helping Bruce along, meaning Springsteen early on. There's some, and the Grenadis, when they signed with A&M.
Absolutely.
Herb Alpert and company. I mean, they basically were right there when Sting and the Police came in,
Yep.
and they're touring with Van Halen. So a lot of it is just that moment you're in the right place, right?
Most of it's that, yeah. Yeah, you had the right break, you know, and most of the time it's just a break. I mean, talk to all the Motown people. They never thought they were going to be, it was either work in the auto industry or go to jail or sing, you know.
He's got a studio movie director's chair over his shoulder, and it's got Tina Turner right there.
There's a story behind
Let me
that,
tell you right
too.
now, if I'd have got divorced a little sooner, I'd have went to Switzerland and taken her right off of her husband. I'd have married Tina Turner. Look, when the Ike and Tina Turner review came on, I hit puberty. That very same night. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Supposedly the one that taught Mick Jagger how to prance. But talk about a career married to, God rest his
Ike
soul,
Turner.
but he was a mean person, beat her up, but they had this thing. But have you ever seen more energy on
Nope.
stage? And then she
Never.
reinvented. It's another example. If you think you're done, you're never done.
Never done.
She was the biggest thing ever in the 80s.
Absolutely.
Now, so what's that connection?
Well, that's when she was doing legs. Remember Hanes Stockings? She
Yeah.
was the spokesperson
Oh,
for
yeah, I
it.
never missed one of those commercials.
She used to go to major cities and do autograph sessions and sign autographs and sit in this chair. And then when she left, whoever owned that store, this was in Gimbel's, they raffled it off or gave it to somebody. So this one was given to me. Tina actually sat in that chair.
I'll take that chair. Whatever I got in my wallet, you can have it. Tina would want me to have that.
Yeah.
Listen, River Deep, Mountain High.
Yeah.
Listen,
Would I love you?
come on.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, Ike was a fabulous musician too.
One of the best, one of the pioneers.
Think about all of the, like Stax. I mean, Sam and Dave, all of these people. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Muscle Shoals. I mean, when Aretha Franklin went down there to record, the story goes, she goes in the studio and all these rednecks are sitting around. And she said, well, where's the black guys that recorded all the music? And they went, that's them.
See, listen, growing up, I wanted to marry Raquel Welch, Sophia Loren, Diana Ross, Tina Turner later, but it was always Aretha who had the heart. Listen, I listened to her every single day.
Yep.
There will never, when you can get the great Carole King to stand up when you're singing one of her songs and a mink standing or sitting at a grand piano, that's all I need to see.
Yep.
Listen, I don't want to sound like my dad who would talk about Glenn Miller like this, but I don't know if we'll ever. And I love, Ariana Grande, and I love, obviously, Taylor Swift. And there's some talented people out there for sure. Justin Timberlake, we'll be here all night. But the raw talent of some of the people we've talked about, that could literally go under a streetlight with nothing and make people come out on their front porch just to listen.
And most of them started in the church. The majority of the black soul singers started in gospel.
You know, a guy that I never knew sang with Sam Cooke was Lou Rawls.
Oh, yeah, he did a duet with him.
I know. Because I'm listening to a Sam Cooke song one day. I'm going, boy, that sounds like Lou Rawls in the background. Boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom.
Yep.
You'll
Bring
know.
On Home to Me is the both of them. If you ever...
Oh, my God.
That's Lou Rawls with Sam Cooke, yeah.
Sam Cooke was another one, man.
Another one, they didn't want him to be powerful. He was on top of the world. I mean, did you ever see the movie about that?
He supposedly got killed by a jealous husband?
Well...
Who knows?
They
got
said,
shot?
They said it was they said it was with a hooker, and it's not... And the woman that shot him ran the hotel, and she was part of the people that...
Well, the guy who really stood up was Ray Charles and got ABC, then the recording aspect of ABC, to
He was smart.
own his music. And that was like unheard of. How about the hits that guy had?
In different categories.
Oh,
Country, soul, pop. I mean,
Have you ever said to yourself, I wish I could sing like that person?
oh, yeah.
Because you can, listen, he's fooling around now. Anybody that can sing, when they start mouthing the words, they do it real quick. They're ready to go right now. But is there anybody that you said, like I'm listening to Eric Bergman the other day, House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah.
He was actually on a bill with some American performers. And he kind of came out and he did his thing. And I'm listening and I'm going, holy mackerel, that guy could really sing. Otis Redding.
Otis Redding was...
Listen, 27, he goes down on the plane crash. I can't get enough. And some of the terminology is slang that they're using today. I mean, it's amazing.
Otis Redding, when he started, wanted to be Little Richard. He did a song called Shout Bama when he was with Otis and the Pine Toppers, way before he was Otis Redding.
Now, where do you come up with a name like that? And this whole Ginchy thing,
Yeah.
sexy, cool, excellent,
Cool.
Ginch, a good-looking woman. I think I'm going to start using it every day. That's the coolest.
Every time someone comes in here, they ask me what it means. I say, well, Ginchy means cool. And before they leave here, they say, I'm going to use that now. And they'll say, this was really cool. I'll say, no, it was Ginchy.
Listen, I looked it up. It's sexy, excellent, cool. All of the above, as you are. Listen, I cannot thank you enough. And I hope this stuff never dies.
I hope not neither. It's
I mean, it's because it's such a piece of, this is our history.
absolutely.
I mean, London has the Beatles, the Stones, the great Rod Stewart, who I think sold a lot of records to people of all walks of life because that guy's got a big soul.
Yep.
And he can still sing.
Yep.
But I just want people to come together. You know what I always say, Jack? I say we're all members of the same race, the human race.
Absolutely.
And it's about just taking care of one another.
And you have to appreciate each other's culture, and that's the problem. It's like everyone thinks their culture's the best, and it's like you got to understand everybody, man. You know?
Forget about political,
I don't.
because you can't discuss. But in the reality, my dad was a Republican, my mother was a Democrat. They fell in love when they were 12. She was 12, he was 14. They moved here, there, and everywhere. He went to the service. They came back. 22, 20. My mom. They're married. They got 6 kids by the time my dad's 30. They would disagree reading the paper at night, a young couple, but next day, fine. They'd walk down to the local fire hall, cast their vote. As soon as the vote was over, whoever became the president, that 5x7 glossy,
That's exactly right.
went up on the metal cabinet of that Zenith television, right? That's your president there. And I remember when JFK died, my dad was painting the bedrooms. So we all kind of, my 5 sisters and I, we huddled up, made makeshift beds and slept in the living room. And I remember cars were going by and I would see this JFK face in that picture, light to dark, light to dark.
Yeah.
And I could hear my mom sobbing in the background in the bedroom. I can't believe it, Bob. I can't believe it, Bob. It'll be okay, Eva. It'll be okay. It was like somebody took the air out of it.
Absolutely.
And it had nothing to do with being black, white, Republican, Democrat. We've got to get back to that mindset. We don't need to lose anybody else, but we need to understand if we don't stand by each other, no one's going to stand by us.
We've got to get back to being Americans, period. I mean, it's like thick or thin. I mean,
listen, I grew up in New Brighton, Pennsylvania, and one of my fondest memories when I went to my first canteen dance. Got all dressed up, had the Pickway shoes on from the local, shoe store, little white button-down shirt, and a little bit of my dad's Men in Shape.
Yeah.
And we went down the steps, and that gym door opened. It didn't look like the gym that I had seen.
Yeah, yeah.
And that stuff on the floor so you could slip and slide a little bit, sawdust or whatever it was.
Wax.
Was it wax?
Yeah.
And then they started playing those 45s that I were playing in my house, and it took you a while, but then you finally made your way across and you get to slow dance for the first time.
Absolutely.
Listen, to me, I hope that's what heaven is.
You know what? I often think about what heaven is. Sometimes I think I'm in heaven. When things click, when I'm with my family, when I'm watching my grandkids do stuff I'm living through them now. It's like being in heaven. That's the joy.
Listen, I've been doing it a lot lately, and I don't know why. We're close to the same age, but you think about your mortality a little bit, obviously, after what you went through, no?
No, I don't. I mean, I know what's going to happen, I have faith. I mean, it's because Jesus didn't want me to go home yet is the reason I'm still here. And 3 times now I've been close to death, and some people thought
Were you afraid, Jack?
No, never. No, I'm still not. When it's time to go, it's time to say goodbye, and I'm going home.
It's funny. I got run over by a truck literally in 1980 jogging. And I'll never forget when I was going underneath this truck and the sky was like starting to disappear. I started to cry, and it wasn't because of the pain, but because I knew I wasn't going to see my mom.
The fear, yeah.
again.
Well, the missing part, I often wonder what it's going to be like not being around my loved ones, But hopefully someday we will be together again. Probably not the way we're used to seeing people. I honestly believe that our spirit carries on.
Well, see, my mother always said, how if you're standing somewhere in your peripheral vision, you feel like somebody's there.
Yeah, yep.
My mother says that world goes counterclockwise, and we're going clockwise.
Yeah.
All I know is people go, who do you want to meet? Like my heroes, people like Elvis. And I'm like, look, I'm going to say, you tell JFK and Elvis I'll be with them in a bit. I got to go find my mom.
That's
Listen,
it.
Nobody will ever love you like your mom. And I've had a lot of beautiful women in my life, and I've been blessed beyond belief. And I got a beautiful daughter. I got beautiful children, grandchildren, that I'll never have another mom like her. And you know what she used to look forward to? And you can tell Scott and Bernie and the Baker family, I never got paid a single cent from them, but they gave me a lot of baked goods.
Yeah.
And Christmas time, I would bring these baked goods over with all the grandkids and my sisters, and my mother thought I walked on water. Oh, Jenny Lee. Never once. And if somebody would say, my mother would go, you'll take it, because one day you won't have it and you wish you had it. So before that day comes, here it is, and I'll take it. Little things. Like we never left food on our plate.
We weren't allowed. If you took it, you eat it.
That's another thing. We sat down and had dinner together.
Yep.
KDK radio was on 24 hours a day in my house. Dinner time, my dad, a little bit, turn it down. Night, a little bit, turn it down.
Yeah.
But it was the soundtrack
That's
of my
right.
life. Listen, the first person I met at KDK was Art Palin. And I was shaking. Mr. Palin, it's a real pleasure to meet you, sir. I wouldn't let his hand go. I mean, he was on the air. There's Art Palin, my God. And then I got to meet people and work with. I'm sitting there with John Cigna in the window of Kaufman's Horns, downtown. John Cigna.
I know.
Eating a Farkleberry cookie.
I hear you.
And I have some of the most incredibly talented producers who work with me that are my children's age. And we're still doing it at KDKA.
Absolutely.
And now what your daughter has done and this whole thing. And
do you know I was on KDKA for a while?
I do know that.
Yeah, I was Bob Logue's stand-in whenever he was off.
Listen, there was a guy, obviously his newsletter, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
You don't understand. I would be on the air filling in for him a lot. I would only be there for like 10 minutes, 12, 15. When's load coming? I'm like, let me get warmed up here. You know, now Bob wouldn't handle it that way. I mean, I literally was just thinking of changing my name to Bob Pratt. He was that overnight thing, that's, one of the first shows that I fell in love with was Jack Wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
But it was really Ed and Wendy King.
Yeah, that's right.
And a
The
lot
party
of
line.
And here's what people don't remember. They never put their callers on the air. You may not even remember this. Think about it. They would go, "Hi, you're on the air. Oh, Ed, this guy down in, Munhall's got this dog. I'd like to see that dog. How long have you had that dog? Oh, so you say you've had that dog for 10 years. That's what they did. And they would do this. We got talented people now.
Yeah.
And Larry and so many others that can
Absolutely.
do great narration. I wish before I go, which could be any day now, hopefully not very soon though from now, I love what Orson Welles and them used to do with radio and what Ed and Wendy, these Halloween stories. That was the only time my mom and dad didn't have to tell me to go to bed. Halloween, month of October, they could be on the air. I had a little earpiece, Westinghouse radio,
Yeah.
and they, the creaky door, the footsteps, they could tell stories.
Absolutely.
But to me, that's a gift, like somebody being able to sing.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's why I'm still on the radio today.
You have a great, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm on the internet radio now, and I've been with them now for 7 years. But before that, I was with the Carolina Breeze, which I was on JAS, right, WJAS,
right.
Sunday nights. And they came to Pittsburgh, and they heard my show, and they said, "We'd like to have you on internet radio." It comes out of North Carolina. And I'm like, "No."
They approached you.
Yeah, I don't know what this is all about. What do you mean? He said, "Well, you do it from your studio at home." I said, "I don't have a studio at home, but I have now." And they say, "You go in and just be yourself and do what you do on the radio here." But there's no commercials, and there's no program manager, and there's you just do anything that you want. And I've been on there now for 7 years. We're one of the highest rated on the internet. And I just do my thing every Sunday night. I go from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock. If you want to hear it, you just download the app, Jukin Oldies, JUKINOLDIES, Jukin Oldies app, and you can say, just look it up, and it's there. Bang, you hit go, and you can listen to it every Sunday night.
I got to tell you something. And look, KDK is my brand, Odyssey, but I love radio. I love everything about it. He's got a syndicated show. I never realized how many great stories Pat Boone has. This guy, everybody thinks of him as the gospel guy, the white buck shoes. He was there.
Yeah, he was.
And he was basically taking a lot of these songs like Little Richard had. And he said, "Look, I'm doing what I was told to do. Didn't mean I didn't love him. Didn't mean that I didn't like that music.
Yeah.
But I had to feed my family."
That's right.
But this guy, he had a heck, and he still does, but this guy was massive.
Yes, he was.
I mean, forget about Love Letters in the Sand. He was doing Tutti Frutti, All Rudy. I mean,
I know.
And I got to tell you, and we white folks were buying that stuff.
I didn't.
No, we didn't. That's the line of the night. I'm just saying, I would have, and I love Pat Boone, but if you gave me a choice, there's no way I'm going to listen to him.
I couldn't.
But,
no.
But that's how crazy the world was.
That's right.
And he was like leapfrogging him on the top charts.
Back in the day, though,
What a lie.
there wasn't a country station, there wasn't a soul station,
I never thought of that.
they were all.
They were playing everything.
Look at the top 10. There was country, there was pop, there was.
I mean, you could hear a Johnny Cash record.
That's right.
Elvis and maybe like a Little Richard.
Or James Brown. Yeah, it's like. And that was crazy. Andy Williams was like number 2, and the next thing underneath at number 3 was like I don't know, Partridge Family.
I got to tell you, that whole thing though. You mentioned Andy Williams. Henry Mancini wrote Moon River. There are groups still covering that song today. I mean, Andy Williams could sing.
Did you ever hear the Iceman, Jerry Butler, do it?
No, I love him.
I was working with Jerry Butler, and we're at Heinz Hall. And
I'm working with the guy that worked with all these people.
I'm standing next to his manager, and he has this walkie-talkie thing in. And he says, "Watch this. You think this is cool? Watch this." And he starts to sing Moon River, and all the lights went to a real pale blue and one spotlight on him, right? So he starts singing Moon River, and he starts to do his thing. And all of a sudden, you could hear people in the audience singing along with him. And this is what he did. He took 2 steps back from the mic, 3 steps back from the mic, and all of a sudden everyone went, and then step back up to the mic. That's how he had control. He didn't say, like, don't sing while I'm, you know what I mean? And he kills it. I mean, he crushes that song.
Look, there's so many people we could mention. Most of you people may not even know. But I remember actually working in a club when Al Martino came to perform. Now, and there was Vic Damone.
Absolutely.
And Enzo Stuardi from Philadelphia. I was like in awe. I mean, because this is the soundtrack of my life.
That's
my
right.
mom making Sunday sauce,
Yep.
listening to this stuff on the hi-fi or being played on KDKA. I mean, honestly, Johnny Cochran, F. Lee Bailey couldn't got you off if you changed KDK radio. It was a death sentence.
Yeah.
You don't touch my radio. I mean, I don't care what's on. You can do anything you want. KDK radio, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I don't remember any time in my life that KDK wasn't on the air.
It was the largest station in the country. You know what I mean?
Isn't it kind of cool having your daughter work there?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Especially when she starts mentioning names, you know, because I know just about everyone there. And it's kind of cool for me to watch her. In like,
she's good. He's good too. They're both good.
I'm living through her. That's why I think I can handle the fact that I may not be on stage as much as I used to, but watching her and what she's doing.
Is that your goal, though? You want to try to get back on?
Yeah. Yeah. And not just to get back, to be in the same position that I was before I got sick.
Here's what happens when you get to be our age. A couple of things. Obviously, you look in the mirror one day and your dad shows up. You know what I mean?
That's
You're
true.
Like, holy mackerel. You got liver spots that you can connect and it looks like a constellation in the sky. But your balance, everything kind of changes. Like I was thinking the other day, when was the last time I just ran to the car? Or like took 2 steps as opposed to 1? And when was the last time I didn't actually hold on to a railing?
Yeah.
You know?
Especially now.
I mean, because if you fall, listen, and I love my children, but if I fell tonight in my house, they wouldn't find me till Easter. I didn't know he wasn't on the radio. Nobody told me. See, that's another thing. Our kids love us.
Yeah.
And I love you, Rachel, because I know you love your dad. She may be a little bit different, but you text your kids today, 3 days later, they give you a thumbs up. You know, it's like, but now he needs me to watch his dog. He's going to Florida.
Well, I'll tell you what, with Rachel.
And I love my kids, but it's just different.
Rachel calls Mary Lou every night. Every night, my wife, you know, she calls her. And she doesn't call me unless something, I need to do something or whichever. But to me, I'm so proud of her because she knows that she keeps in touch with her mother every day, every single day.
Well, my kids, I've said to all my kids, your mom's your first love. You take care of your mother first. You need something from me, I'm here. And we have a great relationship. But listen, up until the time she died, and I was the only son out of 6. I talked to my mom every day.
Yeah.
2:45 in the morning, driving to work after no sleep, just to keep me awake. Call me, I'll keep you awake. My dad's like, who in the hell is on the phone? And my mom's going, oh, shut up, go back to sleep. Listen, biggest meatball, I got it. My grandmother would stand behind me and rub my back when I ate. You know, I mean, my mom's kind of in a semi-coma, not speaking. We're all going to see her at the hospital before she passes. I come in the room, she says, is that Robbie? That love. And I think that's probably why I can't stay married, because honestly, I thought they were all going to treat me like my mom. And my dad used to go, they ain't going to put up with that crap. You ain't going to get away with that crap. There's something about a mom. And your mom had to be so... Did she ever come and watch you sing?
Oh, yeah, she was too proud of me. You know, it was one of those kind. Everything.
I get it.
She loved Johnny Angel more than Jack Hunt. She was like, you know, but you want.
Where's Johnny?
I got to tell you this story because most people think I'm lying.
I hope this is recording, but anyway, we've been here forever.
This story is like when my mom was on her deathbed, right? And my sister, my wife Mary Lou, and me were there, and it was getting pretty late, right? And they were giving her morphine and a whole bit, and every now and then she'd do that gasp like she's going to go,
That's
you know.
right.
And then we'd get up and look, and then she'd go, and she'd start breathing again, right?
That's right.
So this is where it gets crazy. The song Johnny Angel comes on. I swear to God,
Come
this is
on.
my wife. To
Johnny
this day,
Angel.
my wife says, if I wasn't there, I'd say, Jack, you're bullshitting me. There's no way this happened, right? We're sitting there, and the Johnny Angel, and she got this little smile on her face, but she wasn't coherent. At the very end, where it goes, Johnny Angel, you're an angel to me, flatlined. She's gone. She left me whenever, on the song Johnny Angel.
She found someone who could sing it better. Look, listen to me, Jack. Have you ever told that story?
No. My wife, to this day, when I tell people at the house, they'll go like, I know Jack can tell a good story, but is that true? And she goes, I was there. To this day, I can't believe that it happened. That song came on.
Listen, I'm kind of disappointed because, she's 94. I thought maybe her husband had died, but Barbara Eden, who I was going to go meet, she's married. I'm thinking, even Barbara Eden, I Dream of Jeannie at 94 has a husband. Shelley Fabre, you're mentioning all these names.
Yeah.
Listen, I got to tell you how lonely I am. When I do at night, I'll have an adult beverage and I'll put on my screensaver one of like Sophia Loren or Gina Lollobrigida, and I pretend like I'm on a date. That's how lonely. This is the most fun I've had since 2010. I got no life. Why are you not doing a podcast?
I don't know. Right, that's
I know
Rachel.
You're tired. Rachel, hook them up. Listen, you have so many stories. I would love to do something on James Brown because I'm sorry, I still don't think people understand the significance of this guy. I mean, everybody talks about the Beatles coming on Ed Sullivan, and I get it. My sisters were all gathered around, watching. Here they are, the Beatles. Elvis Presley, 56,
Yep.
Shoot 'em from the waist up. But I remember that Eisenhower jacket tuxedo comes running down the ramp, and he does 3 songs. Like, bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
Thank you and good night. I mean, the makeup was perfect. I wanted that hair, I just wanted to be James Brown.
Oh, me too.
Those stovepipe pants.
Yep.
It literally was like a religious experience. And when my mom, this is another thing, at Christmas, I'm 12 years old, something like that. That's what I got from the big Santa Claus, my James Brown record.
Which one? Live at the Apollo. That's the best.
And I went into my room. I had a hi-fi. My grandfather was a junk salesman, trash and treasure type of place. Had passed, but I got a little hi-fi. I put that thing on. I just wore that record out. I would lift up the tone arm so it would just keep going. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, that music, it just makes you want to get up. It like Night Train. To this day,
Night Train.
listen, I'm in Florida. I'm telling. And look, Louis Prima did a great job
Yes,
too.
he did.
And I love Louis Prima, but Night Train, James Brown, all aboard.
Yeah. But what I like to listen with James Brown is all his stuff when he was on Smash and King. That was great stuff. But when you listen to his early stuff when he was on Federal Records, like in the early 50s, the mid 50s, he was incredible.
Did you see the biopic?
Oh, yeah.
That kid, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
Boswick, he was great.
Yep.
He was great. He had him down.
Yes, he did.
But do you think it really was that? And Dan Aykroyd played the manager.
Yeah.
They helped him along the way. And because you lived it, was it that rough sometimes?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And they were probably ripping these people off.
Totally ridiculous.
Somebody said that Little Richard, his entire library, he sold for like 50 grand. I mean, how's that possible?
Well, because, back then you were just so happy to have your song being played. And it's like, now you're being popular somewhere. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden you have something that is yours and it's part of your legacy and this and that. You didn't care about putting your name on a record. I didn't know. Our first record we wrote, I didn't know that I should have got writing credit. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I don't think people realize what gifted talent we've seen in our lifetime. Like I was watching the comeback special not too long ago with Elvis and the Leather, NBC.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't been any live performances for 10 years, was making all those Hal Wallace movies, which I like, but that's what he did. That guy was incredible.
Yep.
But you got to understand, the real reason he had a little bit of that black influence growing up in Tupelo, in Memphis. That helped.
But that's how he became known. It's because he was a white guy that sounded black.
And a lot of people thought in the beginning.
That's it.
You know what else I love, too? I love the Ryman. I love the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Like people like Vince Gill. I mean, today, obviously going back to Merle Haggard and, just Tammy Wynette. I mean,
Minnie Pearl.
Listen, why do I love so much in the way of music? I mean, I love a good country song.
I like anything as long as it's good. I like any kind of music. I mean, it's, when I was in grade school, I was picked for the all-city choir.
That's big.
In grade school.
Back in the day.
It was a Stephen Foster Memorial.
Oh, wow.
And at that, I was picked for the Pittsburgh National Choir. and I sang a Jewish folk song. Now, what was I? How old was I? 9? Hine matov yunayim shevatahim ganyad. I still remember that.
That's great.
You know?
That's great. Now see, that's Pittsburgh. Listen, I love this city so much. I'm on Center Avenue one day, and I looked over, and there was the old Fifth Avenue High School.
Yeah.
I literally became so overcome with emotion
Yeah.
that I had to pull over. And I literally had to stop. And I've often thought, what was it like in the mid-'60s, living in Pittsburgh, going to the Pittsburgh public schools with the smoke billowing into the air, everybody working, and going to a basketball game between Fifth Avenue and Shenley, and then going to a sock hop.
Yep. Yep.
The power of that. I mean, and you could walk.
How about washing your clothes only on Sundays? Because that's the only time that the black soot from the steel mills didn't come on your yard. You couldn't hang your clothes out during the week.
I'm dating a girl from Midland one time. We're walking down Midland Avenue. I'm like, what the heck? What is that? She said, what are you doing? I said, what is that? Oh, that's soot from the mill. You'll get used to it.
That's right.
And she said, by the way, if we get married, don't ever buy a white car. And I would see these people out every day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But they never complained. Here's the thing. Think about that generation. Many of them immigrants, greatest generation, their children.
Yep.
They come here. Not only do they pay their house off, they build their places of worship, whether it be a synagogue, church, whatever, parish. They have social clubs, every nationality represented.
That's right.
Their kids get educated, and they end up becoming lawyers, doctors, dentists, very prestigious jobs. And many of them came here with nothing but lint.
That's
in their
exactly
pocket.
right.
How's that possible?
Only in America.
And we think that we were like rebellious, but imagine the greatest generation who fought in World War II, danced to Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, listened to Sinatra, and then their kids come along in the 50s, and there's this guy, Elvis Presley.
My dad couldn't handle it.
Listen, my dad lying on the couch watching the Beatles. You won't be growing your hair that long. But then,
Not when you live in this
it was
house.
like my mom was up there bebopping to it all, chewing gum, drinking a martini, short shorts, tank tops, sweating with my sisters, holding that like wooden spoon like it was a microphone. It was stained with sauce, cooking 110 degrees in the kitchen, no like air except that little exhaust fan. And she said, "Bob, get used to it. Nothing stays the same. You're either in or you're out."
You're out. Yep.
But they could dance. I mean, to watch them at the Elks of the Legion.
Absolutely.
Jitterbug.
Dressed to the nines.
Where's that talent come? I don't even think my kids dance today.
No.
I mean, you don't even see them tapping their toe when the music starts playing.
I danced my whole life. But that's how you became popular. Because if you were a guy and you could dance, the girls loved you. They loved you.
Listen, there was this guy from Midland, and he's no longer with us, Tony Silly. We were really good friends. He was famous for wearing a blue shoe and a red shoe. And he had that slang about him, and he had that long hair, and he had that tan year-round. And he worked on the water authority, and he had muscles because he worked. And he could dance with anyone. He drove a Riviera, and we all kind of wanted to be like him. And sadly, he's no longer here. But I remember this guy. We'd go into some of the most classiest joints, and aristocratic debutantes would just grab him because he could dance.
That's right. Dancing was the thing, man. I was the most popular nephew in the weddings when we were kids because all the aunts would say, "Come on, Jackie, come on, dance with me, Jitterbug."
To be honest, weddings were the place to meet girls.
Yeah, it was.
Listen, I love to go in there. You see them bridesmaids after about the third toast. You start making your way, "Oh, where are you from?" But then you would dance. And here's something else: weddings. When they were like at the Crow Club.
That's right.
And they were like you had cake, you had pie,
cookies
you had
here.
cookies. Yeah. But you had a live band.
Yep.
And you had a bridal dance.
Yep.
And your dad would say, "You're going to hold the money." And you're looking, you're thinking, well, how much do they really need?
Yeah.
By about the third Perry Como record, those bills were like spilling out. You know what I'm saying? You're thinking, just one more Tarantella, and they would come over and give you a $5 bill. Did a good job.
Yeah.
You see that bride, and you're waiting for the garter belt.
Yeah.
And she's peeling off that money. When people ate holushki,
That's right.
meatballs, nobody worried about their waistline. And by the time you got to like 8 o'clock, the coats were off, perspiration, sweating, dancing.
Shoes are off.
And our parents were the best dancers in the world.
Yeah, they could dance.
And what's crazy, you look back thinking, well, they were so old back then. They were like 35.
Now look at where we are. Yeah.
Listen, I don't ever remember my dad not having a little shot of Crown Royal at the end of the day. I've said this, if you didn't get to my house by 5 o'clock, you had to pay a covered charge. And he said, come on down, I want to talk to you. About an hour later, like you and me, and I figured, oh, my dad just wants a bond. No, he just wanted a bartender. So he could be like because my mom didn't let him go anywhere. And there were years he wasn't getting Crown Royal. He was getting like Old Crow.
Old Crow. Imperial.
A gallon jug. Yeah. Give me a Stoney's, I want to power it down. And one night, we're just sitting there, and he said, you've never heard of a Boilermaker? I go,
Imp and Iron. Imperial and Iron City.
And I didn't drink whiskey.
Oh, I did.
In my house, I have Jameson for Mr. Rooney. God rest his soul. Steelers getting ready to head to Ireland. It's always there. His birthday, boom. My dad, Crown Royal, boom. But you know what I did the other day? Don't ask me why. I just as a whim, doing some shopping. And I have a couple of pops here and there. I bought some Seagram 7. And it took me back to those basement parties at Christmas, thinking about different people, like uncles and friends. Give me a 7 and 7.
7 and 7.
And but they had music. My dad and mom belonged to a card club.
Yep, mine too.
So they would gather, but here's the thing about, you're so talented, but people that you would least expect. There was a guy named Berger Bukic who was a carpenter by trade, built his own house. My friend lives in it to this day. Married a lady in the neighborhood who my mom and everybody loved who got divorced, okay? This guy could play guitar, and he could sing. So they would get together
Yep.
and sing. This guy, I looked at him as this grizzled carpenter, who could cook, but man, he was just mangled from years of pounding nails and working. It was like Joe Negri came back to life. Same big guitar, Les Paul, whatever, and just a mic and amp, and it was glorious. So you'd sit up there and listen to and they'd go. My children's grandmother, God bless her, she talks about being Polish growing up, and what they would do, they would sit on the steps, the kids, and they would basically be the conveyor belt with the little beer bottles.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd move all the furniture out, and they'd be up there polka. I mean, in the house.
Yep.
Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom. Who does that today?
You know what? When my kids, Rachel, next time you're with Rachel, ask her about this. I used to have parties at my house, the old house where my kids grew up, right? And every weekend, if we weren't playing, here's who was in my audience. It was Bubba, me, Gary Daly, Freddie Johnson from Blue Moon, Chuck Blasco from the Vogues, Danny Daly. And anyway, we sang a cappella, all 50 stuff. And we'd just sit on and people would just gather around. Before you know, we had like 30 people on my porch. Same thing.
Food a big part of your life?
Oh, yeah. And I love to cook. So, yeah.
What's your favorite food? I mean, I'm done after this. Go ahead.
My favorite to make or favorite to eat?
Eat.
Favorite to eat? I mean, I'm still a pizza guy. I mean, I would eat pizza every day of my life, and I like Chinese. So, but for me to make it, bouillabaisse is my best.
I love Chinese.
I make a good bouillabaisse, man.
Pizza shops that were legendary on the north side are no longer here.
Dundee's.
Forever.
Al Dundee. He was, it's Al Salvatore. He owned the bar on Woods Run. And little square pizzas, Sicilian cuts, Mr. Kramer's homemade hot sausage, real crispy bottom, soft on the top, crumpled sausage. God.
Listen, the one thing I didn't get to do, I love the north side. We've got the Highwood Street store, Coons Market, love it, love it. But I wanted to have a beer with Mr. Comanchic at a bar on the north side before he passed. Little things like that. And I don't know what it is, but, when I got divorced this last time for the 5 years or so, Christmas Eve, I wanted my kids to be with their mom, right? And that's the way they should be. And I had this big family my whole life, sisters, grandkids, aunts, uncles, you name it, nieces, nephews, my own children, my mother's house. All of a sudden, that was gone. So I had to find a place to do something after my Seven Fishes show. So I had a couple of guys. One guy, sadly, COVID took his life. But he loved to gamble, but he didn't drink. So that's a match made in heaven. Here's 50, you drive, I'm drinking.
Yeah.
So there was this, and it's still there, called the Corner Grill in New Brighton, which is just down the street from where I spent every Christmas Eve as a kid. And I remember telling my mom at 2 o'clock in the morning, my dad driving, just praying we would get home. And I would say, why are those people in that place? It's like 2 in the morning. And you're looking at the glass block window and you could see the Iron City neon on the inside. This is, so, I mean, for years.
I know.
So I'll never forget the first night. I'm kind of down. I'm missing my wife, my kids. Typical heartbreak hotel. We all go through it, right? The desk clerk's dressed in black down at the end of Lonely Street, and you get over it. I tell people all the time, your broken heart goes to the broken heart garage, get the tune up, and you're back on the road. But anyway, so I'm thinking, let's go to the Corner Grill because they're always open. This was years ago, like 2014, 15. So help me God. It's like 11 o'clock Christmas Eve. I don't see no cars. I'm getting depressed. It was like Grand Central Station. That were elbow to elbow. They had a turkey, a ham. I'm like, I made it. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm thinking, all these years, now I get it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for music, like there's nothing better than a jukebox. It can change and save your life.
Yep. Music and food.
It did. And camaraderie. If I didn't get into this business, I wanted to be proprietor. I wanted to own a joint. I think bars, and I know DUI, nobody with Uber and all the ways to get transported today, nobody should ever drink and drive. But think about where we would be if we didn't have those little watering holes.
I know. I owned one at one time.
Where at? See, that's why I love you.
Atreus PNC Park.
Oh, that was like
that was my
beautiful.
I mean, I was there constantly, and
it was great.
and we sang there. So it was kind of like
you realize when that park opened, that I was there. I did Pirate Sunday for 10 years there.
Yep.
To this day, when I still go there, it's still. But you have an Atreus. That was glitz, glamour, Clementi Bridge. Let's go. and if I'm not mistaken, Pat, who you did some stuff McDonald with, wasn't Atreus a Mount Lebanon bar at one time?
Yep, that's where it started. 1930. The family lived upstairs and the bar was downstairs.
In fact, this guy Corner Grill wants to sell. Love the guy to death. The Bloom family started in 1952. And I swear to you, if I would have hit that Powerball, I would have bought it. I'd have remodeled the whole thing. I'd have bought the 2 houses next to it, gave them whatever they wanted, tore it down, parking there, and then I'd have taken the end spot, the old Fifth Avenue Deli, and I'd have made it a pizza joint. And I'd have taken my kids and said, look, you'll all get $100,000 a month. You run it. I'm going to go upstairs. I'll go get all the stuff that you need at the local grocery store, pick up your stuff that you need at Costco's, like paper plates, what have you. And then I'm going to come home, go upstairs and come down at 10 o'clock and stay up till 2. Don't bother me. I'm just going to drink Miller Lite and watch a ball game. I know it's a different vibe, but I could have done that easily. And I understand that these bars, if we didn't have these bars back in the day, when people were working in these mills, back-breaking work, who knows if there'd have been any of us left.
That's what kept you going. That's exactly right. There were so many bars in Pittsburgh at one time, in churches.
But Jack, do you realize what that Atreus was?
Yeah.
So I got to ask, what happened?
COVID.
It just crushed everyone.
I couldn't be there when I got sick, and that Atreus worked if I was there.
People came to see Jack.
Plus, I'm from the north side, so it's like...
That's a win-win. That's a recipe for success. Because I got to tell you, the few times I was there, there's Jack here. I'm sitting there like, Jack here. Jack here. But it was beautiful. I love PNC Park, though.
Well, I do too.
I do.
I love that restaurant. And then when we took over the coffee shop and I put my little showroom in there, because originally it was only 90 seats, upstairs and down.
Let me tell you, Clementi Day's coming. Love Roberto Clementi, but also a very important day in my life was when they filled in an all-minority lineup. Look, I thought that was awesome.
Yep.
And even my father, who grew up in Missouri watching KKK crosses burn on the hillside, my dad didn't have an ounce of racism in his blood. He said, it's about time. So, I just learned from some really good people, and that's what when they were putting the fire hoses on the blacks down south and the police dogs, my parents would go, what is happening here? And when Martin Luther King died, I cried as much as I did when Bobby Kennedy died. But what worries me, after everything we've gone through, why can't we get back to just realize?
I hope we do. I mean, we have to. If we're going to survive, you have to. You can't let it go on like it is. I mean,
listen. I believe the music that you grew up with was the great uniter. It brought people
Absolutely.
together. There's no doubt in my mind. That great divide that was there, no doubt. Segregation, rope, the whole thing in a theater. Blacks on one side, whites on the other side. I think music is really what brought people together.
I went to Oliver High School during the riot days. I mean, we had the National Guard walk in our halls. This is 68, 69, right? And my buddies who were over in Vietnam at the time, I always hung with older guys, so they're in Vietnam, and the headline from the Pittsburgh paper, national papers, was racial tension at Oliver High School. You know, yet now here we are. I have to pretend like I hate the guys that I'm singing with that night. You know what I mean? You could, if you walk down the hall and you talk to somebody of color at the time, you know, you were, and they were, you know what I mean? You can't, and then at nighttime we're singing together and we're going like, and I go, what is wrong with this world?
Sad. Listen, one time a friend of mine who was black stayed overnight at my house after a football game, and he left early in the morning. And a neighbor came over to my dad and said something. My dad let this guy know, and he was about 10 years older than my dad, very well respected. My dad verbally lit him up, and my dad never really spoke to that guy again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I never understood it.
I know one thing, telling stories like this, talking like this, and I've said it many times on the radio, and I'll say it again. If we want a less violent, more loving, more understanding, more faith-based world, we have to start teaching our children and grandchildren what we were taught, lessons in life. Listen, my dad came home, we had a big snowstorm. He wasn't hoping that my driveway was clear of the sidewalk.
That's
we
right.
Had a widow or somebody in the neighborhood.
You did it.
You go do it. And
Yep.
And the last thing out the door, don't take any money.
Yep.
You just did that.
That's exactly right.
And I did see one thing when I came in here, a sled.
Did you see it?
God
That's an
almighty.
American flyer, brother.
Listen, man, the sparks flying from the concrete, the cinders. Whoa! I mean, it's a miracle.
Yep.
When they had the wooden horses with the cannonballs that were filled with kerosene, that smell still reminds me of joy. And I mean, 10 people on top of each other, going over tree stumps. Every year somebody smashed into an oak tree, broke their leg. You know, I mean, one night I literally should have had stitches in my knee, and I'm like telling my dad and mom, don't, please, I just do anything. I got to get back out there. Your dad's hunting gear, or work clothes, you'd be out there till 2 o'clock in the morning, just up and down, up and down. I can't get my kids to go out if it's raining to get the mail. Go get the mail. No, it's raining. I mean,
One of the best sleds I ever had, and I had an American flyer. Our guys on Smithton Street, there was a dump from the cemetery behind our street, and we found an old Calvinator refrigerator door and put a rope on it and carried it up the shimmer. And 4 of us gone out like a toboggan. And then what we didn't realize is when you get to the bottom, there's no brake. And that was Brighton Road. So you had to hope that no one hit you. And the only thing that stopped us was the cemetery wall.
one thing for sure, when you hit, you were in the right place possibly. They didn't have to take your body too far. Look, we used to get wax paper and soap to speed things up.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I wouldn't do that. You know how I quit sucking my thumb when I was a kid? Joey Havancic ran over it with a sled, lit it up, and my dad was going, thank you. I'm like 4 years old. That's when I stopped sucking my thumb. Listen, this has been Ginch. I love you. I love everything you stand for, and I'm glad you're on the men, and I hope to hear you sing again, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. So again, when are you open here?
Saturdays and Sundays, 11 to 5.
All right, that's it. I'm going home. He's going home. But the music continues day after day, week after week, month after month, generation after generation. Have a great night. From this museum, really, it's been Ginchy.